We were travelling along a road, and then basically there was an IED, basically a roadside bomb. Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. A bit different today. I'm going to talk about my last 20 years of aquascaping, how it all started, lots of storytelling all the way through to the present day. So I hope you enjoy it. It could be a bit emotional, hopefully a bit funny, hopefully it'll inspire some of you. I'll overlay some relevant photos, etc. So hope you enjoy it. If you do, don't forget to like it and just drop us a comment, whatever you fancy. So 2004, 20 years ago, I set up my first ever, what I would regard as a successful aquascape. And it was successful because I managed to grow a full carpet of Glossostigma elatinoides, which at the time was regarded as a very difficult plant. I read about it in Takashi Amano's works, and I don't believe I knew of anyone in the UK that had grown this plant as a carpeting plant back then. CO2 kits were really rare, with most people still using T8 fluorescent lighting. And it was grown in a dual Rio 125, which is a very well-known brand in Europe, an all-in-one aquarium kit. It came with T8 fluorescent lighting, an internal filter and a heater. Upgraded the lighting, managed to retrofit another couple of tubes in there, so it gave me a boost of light, and I fitted a DIY CO2 kit as well. Yeah, I managed to grow this lovely aquascape, huge Java fern. Ever since then developed a bit of a passion for Java ferns, a feature in many of my aquascapes. And yeah, carpet of Glosso and some Sagittaria in the back. Very, very simple aquascape, shoal of cardinal tetras. But it was a groundbreaker for me and actually got me noticed in the kind of aquarium world. And the reason for that is it was quite controversial because I was actually adding nitrates and phosphates into the aquarium. I was following the estimative index, which is a method of fertilizing, which was kind of promoted a lot by Tom Barr in America at the time. But it was very controversial because adding nitrates and phosphates to an aquarium seemed, counterintuitive. Most people want to reduce the nitrates and phosphates. But because the plant growth is so intense, they actually need that extra nitrogen and phosphorus. And until this point, most people hadn't witnessed planted aquariums that grew so quickly. So, like I say, it was quite a game changer method of fertilizing. And I think I was probably one of the first in the UK to employ it. And it actually got me noticed by Practical Fishkeeping magazine. They did a home visit, long story short. Yeah, sort of 2006, I started writing regularly for the magazine, for Practical Fishkeeping. And this was a real door open for me in the world of aquascaping, because it gave me an opportunity and a motivation to create new and exciting aquarium content. It made me want to get into photography. I wasn't necessarily into photography at the time, but I wanted to learn about it so I could create beautiful photographs of my aquariums. And I became their planted aquarium, high-tech planted tank expert back in 2006, and I was a regular contributor on and off for 10-15 years. During this stage I was already in the Air Force. I actually joined the Royal Air Force in 2000 as a weapons technician and did various jobs, and I'll talk some more about those later. I was married to my ex-wife, and that everything was kind of okay, but I became basically super obsessed, addicted almost, to aquascaping and learning about planted tanks and aquarium plants. And I would find almost every waking moment where I wasn't working or doing family stuff, I would be working on my fish tanks or learning about fish tanks or taking photos of them. Even at work in the Air Force at the time, I was working in an explosive storage area, and one of the duties you had was to work in, like, I was a sentry guard, and they would have a computer in there, and I'd spend all my time on the forums. I became a moderator on several forums as well, and all of these things were leading up to me just becoming, really obsessed about planted tanks. And because of my role with PFK, it gave me an opportunity to approach different kind of suppliers, including Tropica, who I still work with now, 18 years later.
Feel the energy. I think all people have the potential to love plants. had the answer to future life on this planet.
Plants supplied by Tropica, so I wouldn't have to buy my own plants. I even got aquariums supplied, substrates, filtration, lighting. So effectively I didn't have to spend any money almost on my hobby. Always had at least 2 aquariums, and I would always grow them in and strip them down and just rinse and repeat that process. The vast majority of it was for Practical Fishkeeping magazine, and this role really kind of gave me the motivation to create and learn about aquascaping. So I started to kind of hone my craft, develop my own style, and it ranged from like jungle style aquascapes. I had a really beautiful 4-foot kind of jungle scape with tetras. Went into a lot of biotope style aquascapes. So these are all kind of step-by-step articles. So it'd be like a practical guide on how to aquascape. And I'd be taking my own photographs as well, writing, you know. So this process really, it taught me a lot about aquascaping, as well as the opportunity to communicate the message to others. And I think that's actually been a kind of coherent theme without my aquascaping career. I've always enjoyed the creation side, but also the educational side as well. So the PFK thing went really well, and like I say, I was now churning out new scapes, you know, and I'd have a new step-by-step article out almost every month, and I absolutely loved it. And I became a bit of a public figure, I guess. Started getting noticed by different brands, started doing workshops around the UK and Europe, and was invited to be a judge in the Aquatic Gardeners Association. Won my first ever aquascaping contest with the AGA with English lake biotape, which I was really proud of, actually based on my own experiences diving into a lake with a wetsuit on and manually collected the hardscape. And yeah, just really immersed myself literally in the hobby, all whilst juggling a family, a life and Air Force. But my absolute obsession was aquascaping, and now I know why. You know, I've been diagnosed now with ADHD for a couple of years. You know, one of the traits, the characteristics that we have is hyperfocus, and that's absolutely where all my focus went into aquascaping and planted aquariums. So grateful for ADHD. Actually, it kind of, people say it's a superpower. It's kind of a superpower in some respects, that's for sure. But because of my kind of, probably 90% of my energy was going into the hobby and obsessing about that, other things in your life kind of fall to the wayside a little bit. So although I was doing really well in the Air Force and I enjoyed that, it wasn't my passion. And you know, my marriage to my ex-wife, it wasn't going so well, but it was kind of like a status quo. She enjoyed the big home and we had a couple of horses, and you know, my job would pay for that, but also the side hustling with the aquascaping would help pay as well. So I would actually be earning a little bit more than usual with the PFK writing and doing various side hustles, etc. So it kind of suited us, you know, the marriage, that she would have her horses and look after the home, and then I would do the Air Force stuff and the aquascaping. But of course, it's not a path to long-term happiness, and you know, we'll cover that in a minute. So at this point, we're kind of, you know, 2007 founded the UK Aquatic Plant Society, and this is still going strong. Really recommend joining the forum if you haven't done so yet. Great resource for planted aquarium topics. That gave us more opportunity to do public kind of displays. We did Festival of Fishkeeping. We got invited to Aquascape for big brands like Fluval. So yeah, my kind of brand was growing, and my obsession with aquascaping grew, of course, continually contributing to Practical Fishkeeping, doing various side hustles all over, and still in the Air Force, still married at this point. Yeah, just really fell in love with just creating more and more aquascapes. It almost became an addiction, and I was just looking forward to creating the next scape. What type of scape should I do next? Doing lots of kind of minimalist style stuff, really honing my craft with photography. I wasn't doing YouTube at this point, created a Flickr account, which was like old school Instagram, if you like, but for high quality photos only. And yeah, so it just carried on that for a while. It became a bit of a routine, working hard in the Air Force, working hard with aquascaping, but family life wasn't going so well. No surprise really, when all my focus was going on aquascaping pretty much. So 2011, the opportunity came up to volunteer for bomb disposal. And actually, as someone with ADHD, one of the kind of side effects, if you like, or one of the characteristics is that we have a naturally low level of dopamine. So I would seek, thrill-seeking behaviour in order to create more dopamine, basically, long story short. And as a consequence, I thought, well, let's do bomb disposal, that'll be fun. So did the course, passed the course, and then did 6 months in Afghanistan, in Helmand province, which at the time was probably one of the most dangerous places on the planet. And my job was to basically go around all of the patrol bases, the forward operating bases, and inspect all of the ammunition and explosives to make sure it was being stored safely. And if there was anything, kind of life expired or damaged, or they found some unexploded ordnance, then I would have to basically take it into the desert and blow it up, which is obviously quite a dangerous job. But I actually really enjoyed it, to be fair. And the whole Afghanistan experience was, as you can imagine, is pretty intense. But actually, it was surprisingly, I felt surprisingly be at peace, because it was all I had to focus on. I didn't have the distraction of aquascaping. I didn't have the family to look after, physically. And my job was very clear. And, I could go to the gym every day. We were very well fed. I was sleeping the best I've ever slept, 8 or 9 hours a night when I wasn't working. And it was actually surprisingly, I wouldn't say easy, but not as perhaps challenging as many may imagine. However, one particular job that we were put on, we were travelling between patrol bases on a road move. So there's a few of us in an armoured vehicle. We were travelling along a road, and then basically there was an IED, basically a roadside bomb, which was command operated. What that means is there's the Taliban, the enemy at the time. They were probably 100 metres away or so, hiding. And then they basically have a command wire. So when the vehicle comes up to the roadside bomb, or just alongside it, they hit the button and then it blows us up. Thankfully, they hit the button too quickly, and instead of actually being right over the top of the bomb, it was just in front to the left. So instead of actually exploding underneath the vehicle and flipping us over and probably killing us, it just hit the front left of the vehicle, and it forced us over this way, and then we came back down this way. And then lots of stuff happened after that. I won't talk about that so much, but basically we were on 3 wheels and we managed to kind of limp towards safety. And that was the kind of moment for me that I realised, why are you doing this, George? Why are you doing something you're not really passionate about? You are passionate about aquascaping. So yeah, just have a good think about that. This was sort of towards the end of my tour. And during this time, my marriage wasn't going well, and my ex-wife filed for divorce. And I thought, you know what, this is tough times, but let's use this as an opportunity to hit a bit of a reset button and carve out a new life for myself. Something that I actually really enjoy doing, and that's what I did. So end of 2013, left the Air Force, and because I'd established quite a good reputation in the aquarium industry, managed to get a job pretty much straight away with Tropical Marine Centre. They're still running now. They're a saltwater fish importer, basically, but they were developing a freshwater brand called Aquagrow, and my job was to be the brand manager basically for the Aquagrow brand. And that's what I did for 6 months. Learned loads of cool things about retail, about the industry, networking with different stores and people, and it was really great. But the commute was horrendous. You know, it was a good hour and a half, 2-hour journey each way. So, you know, up to 4 hours a day driving. It wasn't sustainable. And if I'm honest, I didn't really enjoy it that much. And what I have learnt about myself is that I don't like working for people necessarily. I certainly don't like working for authority if I don't believe in what they're talking about. So we'll just leave that there. So I decided to go full-time self-employed, and that was really hard because I'd grown up in a military environment. I went to military boarding school. I joined the military, so you know, you're told what to do, when to do it. You know, had a steady income, everything was kind of looked after. You're fed, you're watered, they even give you your accommodation. And then suddenly I was free, whatever that means. But with that freedom comes potential chaos because there's no structure. And so I struggled, you know, really struggled with that transition. But luckily I met my current wife, Emma, and yeah, she's basically been my care worker, if you like, for the last few years. Well, since we met 10 years ago now, and you know, we've got this beautiful home now. And that was probably the most significant step in my life's journey as an aquascaper and as an adult, managing to develop a career now, you know. So yeah, 2014 moved in with Emma, and then started working with Evolution Aqua in 2015. I had the Aquascaper brand, which I actually sold to Evolution Aqua, which has now been bought out by D&D. So you can still buy Aquascaper aquariums, and there actually used to be my brand. And yeah, I discovered YouTube. I was uploading stuff when YouTube first started, but I wasn't promoting it or using it as anything other than just somewhere to store my video files, just like just somewhere like you would have photos on your phone. I would record videos and upload them to YouTube just to kind of store them. I wouldn't make them, I wasn't even interested in promoting them. It was just a storage device basically. So my stepson actually found me on YouTube and he said, "George, you've got like 2,000-3,000 subscribers." You know, I didn't even know, I didn't even check the numbers. And I thought, you know, I could have YouTube seems to be a thing. There are some YouTubers out there, and the biggest YouTuber at the time was King of DIY, Joey Mullen. Actually, I struck up a bit of a rapport with him online. We were chatting, and one thing led to another, and he came over to the UK. I hosted him, and we had a really big event here, I think in 2016, 17 maybe. And he made me realise, actually, yeah, I could have a go at YouTube. Had a couple of videos do really well. And then, yeah, I've been YouTubing ever since. You know, not so frequently now, but who knows what's going to happen soon. And yeah, that allowed me to do brand deals and gave me more exposure, of course, and hone my craft as a video creator as well as a photographer and a writer. I wrote my first book in 2020, and yeah, I've lived here now for 10 years. We've gradually converted and evolved the home into a really beautiful space where I now have, you know, 5 or 6 aquariums, all supported by Oase and Tropica. And the main message is gratitude, really. You know, gratitude for aquascaping, and gratitude for my wife Emma for supporting me through that journey. And you know, I don't want to get emotional now, but I live a very happy and comfortable life, and I'm so grateful for that. But it's come at a cost, you know. And I just wanted to say that, you know, you look at Instagram. I deleted my Instagram because I don't believe it's healthy for me and necessarily for other people. But you look at, from the outside looking in, at a video creator who's into aquascaping, you see these beautiful aquascapes and, you know, perfectly presented things, but you don't know what goes on, you know, behind closed doors, and you don't know what goes on in order to achieve that level. And I just say that, you know, be careful what you get envious of potentially, because you don't know what's going on inside people's minds, you know. So yeah, from the outside looking in, it's a beautiful life and I'm very grateful, but you know, it's not all easy. I carry a lot of stuff around with me. I'm still in therapy now. Actually created an escape from my therapist's office, which has been really great. And yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure. And the journey hasn't ended. You know, that's life. Life is like aquascaping, and aquascape is always evolving. You know, it's always changing. And I'm a big fan of long-term scaping now. And I think it gives you the opportunity to appreciate things do change, you know, even gradually, but hopefully you have an influence over those changes and can improve and make things better, you know. And better doesn't mean bigger and faster and more money. For me, it means better means just more peaceful and more at ease and content with how things are right now, and not offsetting happiness for the future or kind of trying to fix stuff from the past. There is no such thing as the past or the future. They're just concepts, you know. All that really exists is the here and now. And I think aquascaping is a great way to help connect you to the present moment. You know, when you're looking at one of these, you know, it's just you and the aquarium. It's a really good way to exercise mindfulness, just mindful of time. So it has been a journey, and I think that's a lesson in itself. You know, life is a journey, and it's not about trying to necessarily reach a goal or a destination. It's about enjoying the journey while you're in it, because this is it. This is all there is. It's just here and now. Of course, you should plan for the future, and you need to pay your bills, and you have responsibilities. But I think what I've learned, the main thing that aquascaping has taught me, and what I've learned in recent years, is happiness isn't excitement or reaching goals or earning lots of money or status or fame or celebrity or being the best at this, or it's actually just being at peace with yourself and allowing things to unravel as they will, and just doing the best you can in the moment that you have, because you never know how long you've got. And I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.